start recording. And I'll keep my eye out for anybody coming in.
Perfect. So we did have on the agenda for a speaker, but Jackie and I just, and as you all know, it's camp season. Our schedule has been a little crazy, but it's actually, we're kind of glad we didn't, just because we do have a little bit of a smaller group, I think because of the time of year. So it worked out. But we have some things coming down the pike that maybe we would want to chat about, especially that overtime ruling for the exempt staff. Is probably going to have a pretty big impact for most of you. I know for us, it's a pretty significant impact in January, not so much in July, but making sure that your staff are classified correctly. Are you looking at the possibility of having to change people's jobs, or whatever you have to do to make that work in January? It's a pretty significant impact in January. So I thought that was something that maybe we could chat about. How's camp going for you? Have you had any more struggles? Have you maybe found an out of the box thing that has really helped you this summer? So, because I feel like we are back to pre-2020 camp, which is super exciting. I feel like this is our first, we're back, So how is everybody doing with the overtime ruling? Does everybody understand that? Does anyone have any questions about that? There's been a ton of webinars out there. If you haven't been able to jump on one, look at your local chamber. I know our chamber has put a couple of them on. But how are you guys handling that July 1 and January 1 ruling? Does everybody know what it is?
Yeah, it's not really impacting us. We have one in January that could be an issue. We don't even know.
We won't have any, we're not going to be impacted at all in July, and very slight impact in January. So we're really not that concerned, not right now.
Same here.
Good.
Yeah, that's the same with us. We have a small impact, and we're actually in our performance review phase right now. So hopefully we won't, see that impact right now in July. But by the time January comes in, there might be a couple people that may get impacted. So we're having conversations right now and see how that will look like.
That's similar to RY.
Same at Metro.
Yeah, I know one of the things is, I had to put on our July board meeting to redo our salary guide and ensure that our entry level was meeting, that July 1. So that was something I had to think about. And then I have to redo it for January to make sure that nobody's coming in at that lower rate, that, we're changing those guides. So it's good that you don't have a significant impact. That's really good, because there are some organizations this could really make or break some positions. So that's really good to hear that it's not making a tremendous impact on you guys.
And I think because of our location, we're in New Jersey, cost of living is high, so we are usually above the threshold. But for the rest of the country, you can imagine how it's going to affect them. But for those states that are very much, their cost of living is so much below our cost of living, it's probably going to make some of the companies go bankrupt, essentially. I'm exaggerating, but it's going to be a massive impact.
For those that will be more impacted by the January thing, what are your plans? How are you going about addressing those?
Email, but I already had it in the calendar.
Would you guys just move them to what's required federally as the minimum, or would you redo your guide and replace them on the guide? Have you thought about that?
We'd probably move them if there was, and it's only one person.
Oh, okay.
One employee.
That's not too bad then if you're just looking at that one employee. My biggest concern was, that potential for what we've seen with minimum wages compression. If you're you're bringing people in at 58, what if you have that director who's been here for 5-6 years who maybe isn't that much higher above it? Have you guys taken compression into it, or is your scales already to a point where it's not making a significant impact?
Not considering wage compression at all. This is all government driven, so I don't think we need to, we don't have an obligation towards our employees to consider that, so, we do, every year comply with the YMCA of DSA's administration, salary administration, increase our ranges. And, I know, in that aspect, we're usually, bring in people's salaries to a different level. But concerned about wage compression, that will definitely, impact us drastically if we decide to bring everybody up by the same amount of increase. That will make us go bankrupt at that time.
Well, that was one thing we looked at, let's say we have, just as a scenario, we have a director who's, they meet the July 1, but to bring them up to the February 1 is another $7,000, let's say. Where they're getting a $7,000 increase because of federal requirements, and have only been here for 3-4 years. And then there's, you have your more longevity staff who are maybe getting 1%, 2%, 3%. That's where we have to explain to the staff. It makes it difficult, everybody watches the news, they know what's coming, right? And it's like, well, they just got $7,000. Why am I not getting, it just becomes difficult, and it puts us in a funky situation, right, with the staff. But it's something to take into consideration. Do you have to start budgeting in 2026 for, now I need to make those separations from the, seniors versus the not seniors versus the assistants, It's something to be said about that tremendous increase. It sounds like everybody's got a pretty good handle on that, so that's pretty fabulous. I know I almost fell out of my chair when they said what the January 1 was. So it sounds like you guys all have a great handle on that, so that's fabulous. How's everybody doing with camp? How's your staffing? Do you feel like this year's better than last year?
Yeah, I mean, we got overrun by applications.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is anybody still having a difficult time finding staff for camp?
This is Andrea. We were having a pretty difficult time because a lot of the candidates that we had planned on hiring, kind of like some of them dropped out at the last minute, maybe due to internships or whatever else, or maybe a higher paying job. So we were a little bit nervous, and then some candidates just were not responding. Like, we started the onboarding process and then we weren't getting anywhere, so making us even more nervous. But then we did a job fair last week, and we received, I mean, we couldn't even keep up with all the people that came through the door. We were like very overwhelmed. And out of that, we are hiring a ton. So now we're down to like maybe 10. The job fair really helped. I think it's, you sort of wait until everybody comes home from college and then do it. And then you kind of, and we had been ramping up for about 5 weeks. We put it on Indeed as a paid job. And then the resumes just were coming in like crazy. That's an idea, just in case anybody is having issues, maybe going into next year, maybe.
That's great, Andrea. Can you share pretty much how you set up the job fair itself? Did you have people there for interviews, and how do you
Yes, Jackie. We in the Indeed post that I created, I stated that it was going to be on-site interviews, about 20 minutes per person, even though some went much longer. But because we had so many people, what we did is we would kind of like, after the interview, move people over to a different section and have them fill out the application and the background disclosure. And then if anybody was free, that they could talk to, then they could talk to them on the side. But for the most part, we just really wanted to get people in quickly, you know, talk to them, find out if they would be good candidates, and then you know, try to move them along. So it was super busy. Everybody, I usually don't even interview, and I had to interview because there was just so many people waiting, which is a good thing, right? But yeah, you kind of have to get through them a little quickly, and then whoever was available, like we had folks from every different department so that they could interview the folks that were interested in their departments, but we had to pull some of them to interview other departments because we just had way too many people. So we, you know, we used the RIY. We have a nice big area in a facility that we just leased, and so we used that area, so the parking wasn't too bad. And we did it on a Monday from 3 to 5:30, something like that. And probably could have stayed a little bit longer, but we just collected resumes, you know, after that. And then if hiring supervisors wanted to interview them thereafter, at least they weren't overwhelmed doing it all by themselves after the fact.
That's great. We've done something similar here, you know, on the spot interviews, things like that. And we have not had great success the last couple of times. I find that I have the same people that come in that we've said thank you, but no to the last couple of job fairs. Because you can't kind of stop that. You know, you get what you get, but that's great. I mean, that
Did you
just
use
sounds
Indeed?
fabulous.
Did you use
So we
Indeed?
use social media. We did like social media targeting. We did
We did that.
flyers.
Yeah.
We did that. I haven't used the Indeed one. Our job stuff funnels through Indeed for free, but not our fares. I haven't tried that. Was it a pretty nominal cost? Like, was it not too bad?
So at the time they were doing, it just ended, I think June 1st, they were doing, you could do like a campaign, you could have 8 jobs in the campaign. We paid like $1,200 for the month, every month. And then we just, you know, pull out jobs that weren't as critical and replace them with jobs that were critical. The job fair was critical, so we put that up for about a month, and the resumes were coming in like crazy. And what I would have to do is respond to them to say, hey, you know, we're receiving a lot of resumes. We can't really keep up. Please attend the job fair. And then I would just attach the flyer. So I think that's why so many people came, because we kind of told them we can't really review the resumes right now. It was just too many. But that's where I would say most of the resumes came from Indeed. And then employee referrals. So we sent it out to all the employees. We sent it out to all the members. We posted it on like local nonprofit job sites, local colleges, social media. Like, we just tried to get it everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'll have to look into that job fair one. Maybe we'll try that for the school age. I think my biggest struggle was having enough people here to do the interviews. You know, and I usually do it in between, like, you know, for school year in between sites so I can get my directors and stuff. But that's one of the biggest struggles, is having enough people on site to do those, you know, on-site interviews. So that's
I mean,
great.
we told everybody all hands on deck, but obviously people still have to run their programs, right? So they decided between, I think, each department, like, who was going to, and some people would come for like maybe an hour, and then they'd go back to work, and then somebody else would come for the other hour. HR, me and my assistant were both there to help. He supported all of the supervisors as well. So it was a lot, but I think it's well worth it, because then, you know, we didn't want to like not have enough staff for camp.
Does anybody else have any good stuff? Go ahead, Amy.
Couple years ago, we did a job fair, so to speak, and it was for the fall though, but it was during the summer, and it was called Ice Cream and Interviews. Interviews and ice cream. And we got ice cream and we promoted it, and we did the same thing, that whoever was looking for positions, those directors were there and they were interviewing on the spot, and they'd have ice cream while they were getting interviewed. And we got a pretty good success rate out of that. And we did it outside.
Nice.
Is anyone else having any out of the box thinking for their camp staff, or have we all been, I really do feel like we are back to normal, the new normal, like back to normal to where we were a few years back, which is great. It sounds like enrollment is kind of getting back to where it should be. I think our one camp is full, which is super exciting. So, you know, has anybody had any struggles with camp so far?
Nope.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, I'll check back in maybe in like 2 weeks when we've all started. But no, that sounds great. One of the other things that I know that Jackie and I wanted to talk about, July we'll have a meeting, but August we will not unless something comes down the pike that's like super duper, you know, maybe we have a new law or, you know, whatever, because, you know, those can come out overnight. You know, if we have something super pressing, but other than that, have July on your calendar, but then August, we will take a break. So it's about vacation time. We're all ramping up and stuff. And then we wanted to talk about the training event. Jackie, do you want to take that?
Yeah, we would love to be able to do an in-person training event, all-day event like we've Luann and Kathy have done in the past. So we really need a core set of committed folks to help us plan and put something really impactful together for us. So please let us know if you're interested, available, and willing to work. We'll be looking to find a venue, find speakers, really put together the full planning of the day. I think we talked about November 8th as the training day. So that'll be here before you know it, in a blink of an eye. We really got to get moving on that. If you're interested, please let me and Karen know, and we'll get those meetings started as soon as possible.
Kind of an ad hoc committee. Maybe we'll meet for like 30-minute blocks or something, like nothing that's going to be too heavy of a lift for everybody. You know, this way we can all kind of work together and get that together. We are also still looking for someone to want to work with the wonderful Jackie, or or to take over both of us. I'm not sure where we're at this point. But if anyone is wanting to progress into the one of our seats in January, let us know. You know, I will stay on for as long as needed. But you know, listen, it's nice to have, you know, fresh eyes and stuff. So let one of us know if you're interested in that at all. It's not a huge lift, it's not a heavy lift. We're a great team. So, you know, just let us know.
Hi, I have a quick question, it's Lacey.
Sure.
You said November 8th is the date?
Think we're eyeballing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just as a heads up, I know that's New Jersey, the kids have off that week. So,
And JEA's that week.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if teachers actually go to the convention anymore, but
Think
we
they
have
at least
half
have
days
off.
we have half days and full days off that entire week. So, I know a lot of people go away just something to be on your radar.
No school November. I forgot about that.
Right,
That's
right.
that's what teachers in our area call it, is no school November.
Exactly.
That's a good thing, Lacey. Thank you for bringing
Yeah,
that up.
thank
That's
you.
true.
You're welcome.
Especially if people are home with their kids, things like that. So yeah, we definitely want to work around that.
It's kind of sad that I'm already basing I'm already have the calendar up for next year, next school year, and we're not even in summer yet, but
It's that parent eyeballing that next. It's coming back. It's coming back. Don't worry.
exactly.
Does anyone have anything that they would like to talk about with the group, stuff that they've been experiencing or seeing? You know, we always want to have that opportunity for everybody to kind of ask questions and see where everybody else is at and stuff. Just jump in.
What is your experience, any of you, like with the LinkedIn Learning? Because I haven't really delved into that yet.
So we've We've just adopted it. We're doing a small pilot right now with our association services, but we plan on rolling it out throughout the organization. And, so far my experience in, doing some test runs with some of the courses, I'm rather impressed with the presentations, the certification process, and some of the courses that they provide. I think it was a seamless sign up, sign into with YUSA. I highly recommend it if you can do it.
And who would I reach out to help get started with that?
I think our service support, a service partner.
Okay.
Now, how many licenses are you working with, Jackie? Because one of the things that I have been holding off on was because we were only given 10 licenses and I have 190 employees. So even if I want, like I have 26 full-time. So one of the things that we struggle with is we only have 10 licenses to work out. So, having to like, hey, you use the license this month and then you like that, to me, that's very inconsistent. How many licenses are you working with?
So that's a good question, Karen. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for you. And Shamita's not on with us, who is the one that, spearheaded this. So I'd have to get back to you. I can probably follow up and send an email about that.
Yeah, that's been one of my biggest struggles was the amount of licenses that we were given because I think they based it on your branch size or your Y size, not how many employees you have. That's been one of my biggest struggles.
Got it.
So if somebody, let's say you have 10, which is really not that many, right? But let's just say you have a program director that needed, let's say, one training for during the quarter. Could you then lend it to somebody else for that same license to somebody else for the next quarter? Like, how does that work?
I think when I was doing the training, and if anybody knows better than this, please jump in. The way that I understood the training was you can kind of switch it around, like, okay, you get the login for this classes. Okay, you're done. All right, I'm going to move my login to this person. To me, that's a little administratively funky because now I'm like making, kind of moving all these things around, a lot of moving pieces to have to try and keep track of. But if it works, I mean, I've heard the trainings are great. Jackie, I have heard that they are fabulous and they've done a really great job. I think for me, it's an access issue.
Yeah, and we're lucky enough to have the ability to, if you have a performance management issue, to be able to assign a plan, right? Work on a plan, create it, and assign the trainings to that, which I think is going to become handy with those types of issues. And so I think no matter how you look at this, there's going to be some administrative, lifts there with that.
Which is tough because if you have a lean HR team, I don't know how you keep up with that. And I think that's one of the reasons we haven't gotten started. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't keep up with the workload as it is, and to start, with the trainings. Like,
In this HR of one, I just can't. I can't move 10 licenses around all the time. Not with it. I mean, I want to. Every time I'm like, all right, we're gonna go work on this.
yeah,
to the left. But it's I would love to be able to do it. Just right now, it's too big of a lift administratively.
that's us too, Karen.
So on that note of too big of a lift in lean HR departments, has anybody participated in any of the yes open houses? No. I mean, they have several network like modules, including HR, that they are looking to support wise that any why, but I think it would really help the wise that are lean in terms of their human resources that would do a lot of the back end work for us. I don't know exactly what yet, because I haven't done a detailed HR, but I've got an overview on the HR and the finance and the IT, and it's pretty interesting. And I would encourage any of you to get on those monthly calls to see what they have to offer.
So Amy, I've been on those monthly calls, but I just find I wanted a little more detail. Like, did you request one to get a little more detail on exactly what they would provide for you?
You know what? I didn't get the detail, but I think this is going to start now, because the first few calls were an overview of all the different modules, but now they're going to drill down to each individual module. So for me, I'm particularly interested in finance and HR. So they're going to devote a whole session just to that. And then it seems to me that if you want more information over and above the drill down session, any of them are willing to speak to you to set up a call.
Did they talk costs with you yet, or do you kind of pick and choose? Okay.
No, haven't talked cost, haven't gotten that far. But I think that, you know, for me, our HR department is me, which I've got IT, HR, and finance. So it's me and a half of an HR person, and like during Kelly, wait, Kelly. And, you know, during camp season, she's been focused on just onboarding people. You know, there's not a whole lot more she can do, and I'm split in 3 ways. So, you know, there may be some of that back office work that they can help to make us a little more efficient.
Thank you. Keep me kind of posted on your feelings on it all, because I've been doing a little homework with it and I'm so on the fence with it.
Yep. I don't feel I have enough information either, but it definitely has tweaked my interest. And we just have to see. I agree with you. We have to see what the cost is.
Amy, what are the names of these meetings?
Yes, it's YESS.
What does that stand for?
I don't remember. Do you remember, Pat? I don't remember.
Something about why shared service systems. It might something like that.
Why shared service systems, something like that. And the whole idea is they're going to have that, you know, infrastructure to support that platform for the wise across the movement.
Oh,
Interesting. I wonder if we'll start looking at our Y employees across the movement so that we can share employees, because that's what we want to do, right? Like, we want to be able to move those employees around a little bit simpler.
I'm Kathy.
So Ardeman is on a call, but she said, is anyone looking into quarterly reviews as opposed to annual reviews, because it's a new trend? And is anyone going to SHRM Chicago, because she'll be there, and wants to know if anyone wants to connect after. But is anyone looking for quarterly reviews as opposed to annual reviews?
No.
She's like, definitively no.
We did that many years ago. We decided to get away from it because it wasn't really helpful. It turned into become a very cumbersome process. And it wasn't really giving us the end result we needed. So we're on an annual basis, but I would like to bring in semi-annual. So we can do one in the middle of the year, a quick one, touch base, and then of course the actual annual review at the end of the year.
we actually just moved over to Paylocity. So this was the first year that we went through the performance management process and increases through that system. And although it was easier than what we did prior, we felt like if we tried to do this twice a year, it would be way too much.
So we actually also are on Paylocity, and we tried a form a self-appraisal and a supervisor appraisal form, which was really good and well filled up by staff, exempt and non-exempt. And it's really worked out well, and we're looking into it if we can just use that instead of the long, cumbersome YUSA form. We'll see how it goes because we did that as part of the annual review process, and we're looking into seeing maybe use that as a quarterly review as an employee self-appraisal every quarter and the supervisor appraisal, and then just add the one-on-ones, which Paylocity gives a very beautiful journal entry in there. So if staff can just use that and then use all that information for the merit increases annually.
We
So
actually uploaded
we're
our,
trying to get away from that cumbersome form.
so we actually uploaded our own form, not the cumbersome one. We uploaded our own to make it much more simpler. So even for the non-exempt, it's different than the exempt form because of all the competencies and the expectations. So we tried to make it as simple as possible because some department heads have hundreds of staff. And they are the ones that were, you know, drowning in all this whole process. So we created our own forms for both, and then, you know, actually selected who gets what to make it easier.
Yep, that's exactly what we did. We made our own rating and our own form, which is just filling in that, you know, that self-rating. And it's really, it seems to be doing well this year. So we'll see at the end of this month how it went.
We agree too.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat from Maureen. Is anyone using Paycom?
We have Paycom, but we only have our performance notes and disciplines through there. I was trying to find my hourly, I think Andrea, I sent you our hourly evaluation, our merit evaluation. And it's still lengthy, but it's not crazy. Like you're right, the one from YUSA is a little cumbersome. So we just kind of adapted to what would work better for us when we went back to the merit increases for the hourly staff. Does anyone so I would not go to quarterly because I frankly have struggles with getting our annual evals back with everything that everybody has on their plate. So I think trying to get greater than that would actually be detrimental to the departments. I think that it would just totally overload them and break that system. So in order to ensure that I get them annually, I think that adding that extra workload would just not be beneficial. I don't think they would be done in a way that would be beneficial to the staff members. I think maybe it would be like a little rushed and like, let's hurry up, let's get this done versus that, you know, annual where they're sitting down and really putting some thought into it. What we do use Paycom for our evaluative process, Paycom has an option where you can put a performance note. So I have what I call the good, the bad, and the great that go in there. So like if you see that your employee is doing really, really great and that, you know, you put that performance note in there so that when you go to do their evaluation, you now have those things that you can reference and use as anecdotal evidence of why they did really good, not so good, or great. And that has seemed to have helped the directors with remembering a lot of the things that went on throughout the year. Does anyone else have anything that they want to throw out to the group? Is anyone going to SHRM Chicago so that Ardeman can hook up with people when when they're done? I couldn't work it into my schedule, but I should be at Garden State. I'm hoping to be at Garden State.
Yes, Garden State is September 30th and October 1st this year.
It's early this year.
It's early. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're the off-season cycle this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping to make it down there since I'm the VP. So I think my president expects me to be down there. So I should probably.
Very nice. And if you want a little bit of a discount. Maybe you want to sign up for volunteering and we can get you a little discount. Let me know.
We call that being voluntold in our.
Voluntold, yes, I can voluntold some of you. I get that privilege as the co-chair for the Garden State HR
Yeah, that's fabulous.
conference. So if you want to voluntold, I can get you a couple $100 off the the fee there, the registration fee.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard it's really, really good, and I haven't
It
had.
is very good. Yeah, absolutely.
The more HR stuff we can get under our belt, right? That's why I love being part of my HRA. I just, kind of picks up where we leave off, which is really great. I just think it's just great to have that support unit, both have your village at work and have your village outside of work, right? Big on my villages. It really does take a lot. Anyone else have any questions?
Just throwing out a question. How has anybody really embraced the AI in HR? And if so, what has been your experience?
I use it daily, Jackie. I actually even have started using it on my Zoom calls. There is Read AI. It does notes for me. It sends me pointers and highlights like what are my actions to do. Helps me with, writing less of the notes. I use it for drafting my emails. I have recently started using it for job descriptions. It's really helped me with a lot of my own admin work and my team. And I think it's more of, the younger staff in age that are using it much more. And every day I learn new things from them, and it's just making things so much easier. And with Paylocity, they are bringing in so much more AI in them. Every day you learn so much new things with Paylocity. It's really phenomenal. And I know Sherm has an AI track as well. So I'm looking forward to learning more on that.
How much do you pay for that?
Sorry?
How much do you pay for that?
For AI?
Yeah, is it a subscription?
No, it comes as part of Zoom. So you just have to activate it.
Oh.
Yep.
I use Chat GPT to fluff things because I think sometimes, as much as you like to write, sometimes it's just nice to get that fluffiness. That's what I call it. I call it my fluffiness. And always proofread. Always proofread. But I pay I think it's like $10.99 for chat GPT per month or whatever, and I have like a plethora. But one of my last job postings, I used that. I put in my wording, and then it really just gave it like some oomph, so it is nice to give that, kind of more professional, a little bit more zingy, a little bit more eye capturing. I think that it's been great to use and for me, it's a tool. It's not doing all my work for me. It's a tool to help me do work. And I think that, embracing it's great.
Would it be reasonable to ask, would people who are using it, would you consider maybe doing just a little tutorial at some point in time?
We can bring that into July's meeting. What do you think, Jackie? We can bring that into July if everybody's interested. Absolutely. We can spend a couple minutes on that. That's no problem.
Ardeman, would you be willing to lead it? Awesome.
Hey, we have our guest speaker for July. Look at that.
I mean, anytime you can get some admin help, holy cow.
Absolutely. No, sure. I'll be
So
happy
much.
to.
Thank
Oh,
you. Appreciate it. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
And consider teaching to your lowest denominator.
It's always good to work with your peers, so I'll be happy to do that.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you.
One thing I like about ChatGPT is it's super easy to use. It's super user friendly. You got to find something that's user friendly and that works for you, that you're not like, oh, how do I do this again? Super user friendly, super easy to do. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Karen?
I think it's a great idea to do in July.
I'll share an experience that I had. We just did a DE&I survey at Metro, and it was an extensive response, right? Rating rankings and all this other stuff. And I had to do a presentation on what the results were, what were the top 5 topics that people were interested in, what was the platform in which they were interested in. And I took a chance in putting the results in the chat GPT, and it like instantly charted it for me, which was like, I was floored at how wonderful it was. It really is easy, very easy to do.
Jackie, not to sound stupid, but do you do it on your phone or do you do it on your computer?
On the computer. Yeah.
Okay.
On the computer. And basically what I did was the one area that I wanted to kind of get a ranking of the topics people were most interested in. I copied that column because everything was Excel, and I submitted it into the chat GPT and asked for a chart, and it ranked it. It's, based on the most common responses, and it was really good. I could have asked it to change the charting, right, based on what I was looking for. And I was fine with a weighted ranking. And so it was very easy.
Great. And do you pay for a subscription?
No, I use the free service.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
But it would be worth it to expand, I find, so far.
Good.
And scary stuff, new stuff's scary. Like I went to a breakfast roundtable that we had for ours, and they did like, what does everybody feel about AI? And you have everything from the Terminator is coming to kill us to yay, the computer's going to do all my work for me.
They're going to take our jobs.
Yeah, so it's very just comfort levelly, get to know it. It's super new. It's super like, how do I work this thing? Listen, if it makes you feel any better, my CEO, my new one, uses WhatsApp. I've never used it. And I'm like, I'm pretty tech savvy, but I now feel my age when I'm going, how do I use this app? So, we all have those moments. Anyone else have anything for the good of the group? And if not, we'll give you a couple minutes back in your day, which is super exciting because I think we all need those, right?
I'm sorry, Karen, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. I wanted to introduce Sandra Stavelli, Human Resources Manager at the YMCA of Montclair. Sandra, if you could just say a quick hello to the team and welcome to the team.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, as Fran said, I'm new to the Y. I just joined the YMCA last month as the HR manager. So I'm kind of learning everything. And I'm new to the nonprofit world. I was working for corporations pretty much my whole career. And so I'm kind of learning all the ins and outs of the nonprofit way of working. It's been an interesting journey. There's a lot because I've been listening to your conversation, and I'm definitely an HR of one, even though we have other HR staff with the camp hirings. They're all in with the camp hiring. So I'm kind of learning on my own and figuring things out as we speak. One question I did have for the group is, I'd like to know what your status is in terms of files. Are you all on paper files? Have you digitized your files? If so, if you did digitize, how did you do that process? Throw that out there.
Jackie, that's your question. Metro Y.
I'm sorry.
I said, this is a question for you, Mr. Y, I believe you guys are digital.
Yes, we are pretty much fairly digital. We still have a couple of pieces of our hiring process that are still paper, but we're working on it. We have adopted for those pieces that are still technically paper DocuSign, which has tremendously helped with the camp season and the mass hiring that we've done this season. But we are fairly paperless. We have a digital filing system, and for those things that we just went through the entire process of transferring a room full of paper files into a digital platform, which is Vaison. I don't know if we are fully embracing all of the capabilities of Vaison yet, but all of our files are digital. Beth, I don't know if you want to share anything further about that.
I'm not a fan of it. You could see the whole file in PDF form. It doesn't really allow for a breakdown, say like subfolders, like you have the employee or position change forms go here, or like you can't really subfolder it, so you're left to kind of scroll through the whole file to find what it is that you need. But it's definitely easier to look for things when it's in digital platform rather than paper.
What platform are you using?
Vaison or Vaison, I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah, I think it's Vaison, actually.
Vaison.
So you have an outside system, not your payroll system.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Because we do ours in our payroll system, and I'm not, and obviously we jumped in right around, pre-COVID or right around COVID. And now that we're looking at shopping around for different payroll companies, I'm like, oh my gosh, you worry about that transfer of knowledge from one database to the next. So I could see the value of being in an outside system.
How does it get into Vaison?
It's scanned and then uploaded.
So you physically have to scan it.
Someone does, yes.
Yeah. So
and then, like to Beth's point, right? Everything is in one file rather than being able to type in something that you're searching for and it populates. That's the challenge of the system. But it's relatively easy to download a file, but you just have to find it. So scrolling through a PDF, and some of our files are, 300-400 pages long. So that's somewhat of a challenge. I think there are better options out there. So I think we're going to be looking at that in the next couple of months. But for what we needed at the time, it did, great.
Kelly, do you want to just explain what we're doing here?
Sure. So we're still paper.
We are still, well, yeah, we're a paper file. Yes.
We're trying to go electronic as far as ourselves scanning our documents into a employee drive. So as you can imagine, that's a slow process, but we're trying to, I guess it's been a few months, so all new hires that's the process. So eventually we'll have our staff electronic, and anyone who's been hired, let's say in late 2023 will be electronic, but it's a long process, but it winds up similar in PDF where though we can control folders, a lot of the file is searching within the document.
But we do have them divided, like we have them divided between their health records and their performance records and their general onboarding records, so that at least there are sub files within the employment folder.
And are you using your payroll system?
Platform.
We use ADP, and we've been with ADP forever and a day. And like you, we would like to go with an electronic onboarding system. It's definitely on our wish list. However, we did lose our SAC program last year. And it's with a small HR department, it's a big project to take on to move all that data. So we have to, I keep saying we have to be at the right place where there's not a million other things going on, but there's always a million other things going on. So it just doesn't seem like it's ever the right time. We did, Kelly, what, 2 years ago? We looked at several payroll companies 3 years ago.
Yeah, probably about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, to look at the electronic onboarding. Ideally, I'd like to stay with ADP, but I know that Westfield had a horrible experience. However, it's my understanding that their electronic onboarding, it starts with recruitment. If you do the recruitment and the onboarding together, it goes smoothly. It's if you remove the recruitment piece of it, it gets a little more challenging.
We're using that, Amy, we're using ADP online onboarding. It doesn't necessarily have to be connected to the recruiting, although we are using recruiting too.
Okay.
And employees self-onboard themselves. We just, send them a notice from ADP. We also send them a quick follow-up notice from HR. Hey, don't forget, you just received a notice from ADP. You have 48 hours to onboard yourself. And they go through the entire process themselves. So initially, we just put in their name and email address, and everything else is up to the employees as far as their social security and their address, emergency contact, taxes, direct deposit, and all of our policies are uploaded. So they have to go through every single document, every single policy, review it, electronically sign it. Everything, all of those documents are stored in ADP. And then we go back in, complete their job title and their pay rate and so on and so forth. And it's working out. The only glitch that we've come across is rehires. With rehires, there are certain things that we have to shift a little bit. For example, they cannot do their taxes until their very first day of work. So, and that sort of, adds a little bit of an extra step for us to remind them, hey, don't forget, today's your first day, you have to log into ADP and process your taxes. But other than that, it's so much easier and smoother than paper hire and so it seems to work out. It seems to work out for us.
Yeah, so our onboarding is also, via our HRIS system, and all of those things are there. When we transitioned to the digital files, the organization Sharon was, spectacular in negotiating to get that company to upload them. So all we had to do was send it to them, and they do
the upload
for us. Yeah, we didn't have to do it. Now, upkeep, right, obviously is ours, and creating new files for staff is our to do, but it really is a pretty simple process.
Anyone else?
So Jackie, essentially, did they come in on site to get the hard copies of your documents and then upload them in the system?
No, we sent it to them. We made an arrangement to send it to them.
Electronically?
No, the paper.
The paper.
the actual files. Yeah. And like I said, it was literally a room full. Years
One
worth,
of those.
years worth of files. So we have the
For
terminated
Was it
files and we
expensive?
have active files.
Oh,
What was it expensive, Jackie, to do that?
Say that again?
Was it expensive?
I don't have the
Cost-wise?
cost details, but I think it was part of the contract that Sharon was able to negotiate when we signed up with them.
We
Thank you
actually
for
moved
sharing,
from,
everyone.
sorry, we actually moved from ADP to Paylocity because of the onboarding, and it's a way better process. We were very happy that we made the move because we were doing like, half paper here, and then it just was really bad. And we had a couple floods, we would lose all the packets if people are out, it's like, well, where's the packet? Where did you leave it? I thought I gave it to you. No, and it's stuck in someone's office. It was just bad. So the onboarding process for Paylocity, my assistant manages mostly all of that, and he said he really likes it way better.
Before anyone checks out Paycor, talk to me first. That's all I have to say about that. Just talk to me first offline. Okay. We're on Paycom now, because Paycor had employee files, but we left them. And Paycom, I have my electronic onboarding, but I am 80% paper. That's where we'll stay for a while. So that's where we'll stay. So if anyone wants Paycor, you talk to me first. All right, well, thank you, everybody. I know we're a little bit over. Want to respect everybody's day. So July, we will look into that AI chat. I think that that's super important. Get everybody, kind of educated in that. I think that's great. And then we will figure out who's going to be on the ad hoc training event. And I believe Jackie will be posting this on our YouTube channel. Look at us, we're so official. On our YouTube channel, so that everybody can have our discussion, and just email if anybody needs anything, and that Jackie and I are always here if you need anything. So thank you all for your time. We will see you everybody next month. Happy camp.